really just are locked in for reading. Hallie and Henry, and put them together. That's me. The yearning. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Emmy. If you've clicked on this video, you know that we are doing a 24-hour readathon. I am a very big reader. I love reading. We do a lot of reading vlogs and bookish stuff here on this channel, and I've done many 24-hour readathons now. So the way that I like to do these is I will split them over 2 days. So we will read for 12 hours on a Saturday and 12 hours on a Sunday. And that's pretty much my entire day because sleep is very important and we need to do sleep. I just think it's a fun challenge. You guys like to watch these reading vlogs, obviously. I like to film them. It's a good way for me to get through my TBR, and as someone who works full time but really loves to read, it's great to be able to have uninterrupted reading time where I can just sit and live in my own little bubble and enjoy reading. So that's what we're going to be doing today, but it is a weekend and I have some stuff on my to-do list that I need to get done this morning. Before we start the readathon, we need to pick my TBR for the month. I have some little admin bits to do. I need to make a caffeinated drink because we go through quite a lot of those in these 24-hour readathons. My book merch collection has also dropped, which is so exciting that I can actually wear these in vlogs and videos now because you guys can shop them. Reading is definitely something that I got into this year. I picked up my first book of the year in February and I've read close to 200 books now. So I am an absolutely feral book reader and very passionate about it. I sort of went into 2024 deciding that this was going to be the year that I stopped saying that I want to do all these things and I actually just go and do them. And for me, as you will have seen, I have successfully done that with reading. I said I wanted to read more this year. We definitely did that. I also said that I wanted to find a fitness class, something athletic that works for me, and I have been doing Reformer Pilates for over 9 months now, like every single week. I've also gone back to dance classes, and one of the biggest things for me that I've always wanted to do but I've never done and never set the time to do it is learn a new language, particularly French, because I go to France quite regularly. I've gone 4 times in the last 3 years. 3 of those have been Paris. I love Paris so much. I have Paris vlogs on my channel. I want to go back to Paris and I'm planning that next year, but I've been picking up some books that are actually set in France and Paris specifically, and I just feel like I'm re-entering my Paris era. I am manifesting a Paris trip again next year, but I don't speak French. When you travel to a country, it's always a good idea and respectable thing to attempt and try to learn the language. I should be making more of an effort, but also I really wish that I could speak more than one language, even just casually, to be able to hold a basic conversation. I think that's so cool. So I have started some French lessons as a beginner with Lingoda, and Lingoda are actually sponsoring this part of the video, so massive thank you to Lingoda. I have tried language apps before and I just never stick to them. I want to be able to learn a language in a practical way where I can conversationally speak it, and I just feel like I don't get that with an app. I like to be able to have an actual teacher who I can speak to and bounce off of. And I was trying to be very realistic with my goals. Like, I don't think I'm gonna go and do like 3 classes and suddenly speak fluent French, no, but there is so much support with Lingoda. They really understand that everyone learns completely differently, and as someone who's also very neurodivergent, the way that I learn and like to take in information is different from the way that the next person likes to learn. And Lingoda understand that and value that. Every single class is human-led. There are 3 different learning paths that you can do with Lingoda. Lingoda Flex, which is a flexible course to learning a language, fits in with your busy schedule and available anytime 24/7. You can choose your own learning intensity and follow their curriculum. Lingoda Teams, which is a structured 8 or 12-week course. There are weekly classes with the same teacher and classmates, so that way you can build up that rapport and relationship to build up your confidence, but also have that support there to help build a routine. And then there is Lingoda Sprint. This is a 2-month challenge to accelerate your language learning journey. You can take classes daily or every other day, and it focuses on fast progress, helps you stay motivated, and you get a big reward in the end. There is a variety of different languages out there, so you don't just have to learn French like I am. You can learn English, French, German, Spanish, but also they now have Italian classes, which are new. So there are so many different options for everyone. So I have started learning French with Lingoda. TBR, and I'm very excited to see where it goes. I can keep you guys updated on my progress, and then hopefully we can put it to the test when I eventually book my next France trip next year. But if you want to try out Lingoda today, you can use my link down below, and I also have a discount code Emmy20, which will give you 20 euros off of your course of choice, whether you want to do a sprint, teams, or flex course. And a massive thank you to Lingoda for sponsoring this video. If you guys have any questions about my new language learning journey, please let me know in the comments and we can talk about it in another video. For now, we need to pick up my TBR. Before I actually do that, I think I'm gonna get comfy and cozy. I don't like to wear makeup when I'm doing my 24-hour readathons. I might have a shower, get comfortable, and then we can come back, pick my TBR, and start the reading. So there are so many options that we can choose today when it comes to the TBR. So let's pick that. I always mood read my TBR and see what I feel like in the moment, but I like to have a lineup of books to pick from because it just honestly saves time when I'm reading for 24 hours. I can just pick a book that's in front of me rather than having to come and think about what I actually want to read next, because when you're reading that many books back to back, you want to use as little brain power as you can. What's on my actual TBR for the month? Let's have a look. So far I've read 3 books on my physical TBR and I have some options. So we've got All This Twisted Glory. It's the 3rd book in the Woven Kingdom series, and I was obsessed with book 1. Book 2 was such a fun giggly vibe. I think book 3 is probably going to also be a fun giggly vibe. I read both of these books in this vlog here, if you haven't seen me read the first 2, but I feel like this is going to be quite similar to book 2 and nothing really happens because it's quite short, and from like the back of the book I feel like it's going to be very like focused on the characters and their dialogue and development. We had like a big ending and things are going to come together in book 3 and we're going to have finally like all the characters together. So very interested to read this, but then that's not on my TBR, so maybe I should prioritize my TBR. Palette cleanser book, we got Daydream by Hannah Grace. I do actually need to read this for a TikTok that I'm doing, so this is on my TBR to read this weekend, so I have to read this in the 24 hours. But I've heard very good things about it, very hyped up, but like cozier vibes. Just love that she's wearing a Taylor Swift cardigan and she likes books. This is from the same author as Icebreaker and Wildfire, and it's part of the Maple Hills series. Is that just like an interconnected standalone, I think, with all the books, but you don't have to read them in order, but obviously it's recommended to. I haven't read the other books and I'm not going to. I'm just going to read this one. But this is about Henry, obviously ice hockey romance. So he made ice hockey captain, he's a junior in college and landed himself in a difficult class as least favourite professor. But then Henry meets Hallie, who he befriends, and academic pressure has never been a struggle for Hallie, but as an introverted people pleaser with a tendency to overcommit herself, she can't help but offer to help Henry pass his class, and in return he offers to help make college life a little more inspiring. Oh, this sounds just like a little rom-com novel. I can imagine this as a movie. You know, like those rom-com vibes? Yeah, that would be a nice palette cleanser. Got a colour theme going on as well right now. What's actually on my TBR? I'm doing it. 6 of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. This is what, 6 dangerous outcasts doing a heist. It's a book that I've been putting off reading for so long and avoiding, and it's on my TBR for the month, and I don't think I'm gonna have another opportunity to read it except for today, and I kind of just want to like binge it and read it and do it like that. So we're gonna add 6 of Crows. Oh, that's scary. How many books do we usually read? We usually read like 7. I usually pick like 6 books, so I'm picking longer books though, guys. So Serpent and Dove, we're gonna go with that. It is huge, but this is a witch and a witch hunter, and I love a witch and a witch hunter story. The only other witch and witch hunter story I've read is The Crimson Moth, and I don't know if this is gonna be anything like it, but when I think of witchy, I'm thinking like Kingdom of the Wicked meets Crimson Moth. If it's anything like either of those two vibe-wise, I'll be happy. Man, they are bigger books, so I'll probably read less. Maybe I should start counting by page numbers. That'll be interesting to see how many pages I read. And then this one is not on my TBR, but I really want to read it. And it's the Illumicrate box for August, Mistress of Lies, and it's the most beautiful hardback I've ever seen in my entire life. The naked hardcover, I'll show you later, beautiful. But the artwork in it is gorgeous, and I've never heard of this. It says, our main female character is the daughter of a powerful but disgraced blood worker, spent her entire life perfecting her blood magic and building her network of spies gathering scraps of power. She assassinates her father to take their place at the head of the family and start her revenge. And then our main male character, Samuel, is a bastard with a terrible gift. When he stumbles upon the first victim of a magical serial killer, he's drawn into the world of sorcery and intrigue, the world that he's worked so hard to avoid, and is pulled deeply into the ravenous and bloodthirsty court of the Vampire King. So this is a darkly seductive romantic debut with a villainous bloodthirsty heroine who finds herself plunged into the dangerous world of power, politics, and murder in the court of the Eternal King. So you got vampires, sorcery, assassination, revenge, treachery, desire, treason, and vengeance. Mistress of Lies. Okay, we're gonna make that the TBR. Am I gonna read all these books? Probably not. I might swap some of them out, but we really do have a color theme going on. Let's jiggle it around. There we go. So this is our TBR. It could change. Might not read all of these. Might completely pick something else. There's a few other books that I'm thinking of now that I'm like, ooh, I kind of want to read that. So we'll see. So I literally just think we're gonna pick up Serpent and Dove and read that first because it's on the top of the pile. And I'm gonna read them all anyway, so I'll just start with the first one there. And I think that's how it's gonna go. Now, I don't know anything about this book other than it's a witch and a witch hunter thrust into holy matrimony, so I'm assuming some type of forced arranged marriage. And there was only one way such a story could end, a stake and a match. So obviously we're entering a witch story. Witches are notoriously evil and bad. I know this is an older book. When was it published? 2020. Yeah, so it's like 4 years old now, and I know it was like a really popular book back in the day, like when it first came out. But I don't hear a lot of people talking about it now. Like I know I'm very late to reading this, but obviously I only started really reading this year. So I'm making my way through all of like what I consider like the book talk and booktube classics. Because these are like all the popular hyped books that have like a good established reputation. But before I'd sort of got into it. And this is one of them, Harper Teen, so it's YA. But I don't know how young it's gonna be because when I read The Crimson Moth, that was also a witch story that was YA, but it did read more of an upper YA than a younger YA. It could have almost been a new adult book if the characters were a little bit older, I think. So I don't know if this is gonna be younger or if it's gonna be sort of similar. I'm hoping it's sort of similar because I'm kind of in the mood for something like that. So we're gonna just jump straight into the 24-hour readathon and start reading. So let's do it. Okay, so we are 1 hour in and I am 109 pages in. We're about to start part 2 and I've sort of really been getting into this. There's a lot of things in this book that are nuanced and a lot of things that are not directly spoken about, or like things that will happen in the book. It could be like the way that characters look at each other and sense of a feeling, and that tells more than just directly saying like this character felt this way about this person. Or it's very interesting and I'm having to like use my brain a little bit more to like make sure I'm picking up on all those little bits and details. But I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying the writing. It is giving upper YA. I do think it is upper YA, and it is set in, I think it's set in France because they're speaking French. Like there's at the start there's some words that are in French and I'm obviously like, well, I can understand that. Oh my god, I've just realized I'm wearing a jumper that also says bien French. I'm literally in my French era. The universe is just telling me that I need to book another Paris trip and go back to Paris. That's what it's doing. But I had no idea that this was set in this sort of time period. I don't know what time period it's set in, but it is giving olden days. 17th century France. Yeah, I really don't understand the different centuries, but it's 2 centuries before we had like Regency and Victorian era. So like we don't have that like Bridgerton-y court type of vibe, but it's similar to that. Like it's very much women are evil and temptresses and men marry women to control them. And there has been like a scene or two where it's like, well, once you marry a woman you can lock her up in a cupboard for all I care, you know, she's your property and you'll own her. And our main female character is like, no, absolutely not, you will not do that, you will not touch me, and I will do whatever the heck that I want. And I'm like, yes, I like you a lot. So like if you don't like reading about older time periods where women are looked upon in a certain way, then you might not like the way that some of like this side male characters talk about women in this. And there is like references to abuse and stuff, so check trigger warnings. But it is a YA, so this is why I'm like surprised it's giving like upper YA, because some of like the topics and themes and things that they reference without directly coming out and saying it is quite mature. So I'm enjoying it. I think this is my favorite type of YA, where it feels age appropriate for me as a 26-year-old now. I can't believe I'm 26. I'm enjoying it. We've just gotten to the part of the thrust into holy matrimony, as the back of the book says. So part 2 I feel like is now where we're going to start getting the plot developing, but I think I'm like a quarter of the way through it, almost. Still have a lot to go. So let's start book 2, part 2. I'm enjoying the paper, the way it's printed. This is also on Kindle Unlimited. I didn't know that until I had already bought the book, so I'll probably read the others on Kindle Unlimited maybe, or if I really love this series, maybe then I'll buy it. But it is a big book, and it has got a lot of words in it, so I feel like it's going to take me like 5.5 hours for me to sit and read this. So hopefully finish this book around like the 18-19 hour mark, because obviously counting down from 24, that's how I do my timers. But let's jump into part 2. Little reading update. Cami is playing video games next to me while I'm reading for once, so can't really debrief there, but 50% of the way through, and I am really enjoying it. But I thought that we would have more dialogue so far between our main female and main male character, because the book is written in dual point of view. So we have chapters from our main female character Lou, and then chapters from our main male character Reed. But so far a lot of their dialogue and relationship and what's happening involves the side characters, so it's a lot of like them begrudgingly talking to each other because of like situations that they're in with other side characters, if that makes sense. And like we've had scenes where, you know, one of them comes to their shared room and one of them's like taking a bath or you know, asleep, so the other just leaves them alone, and a lot of their individual chapters are focusing on side characters more. So I'm like hoping that the next 50% of the book will actually have more of like the two of them together, because I don't know, but it is good. It is giving the vibes that I wanted it to give, and very much enjoying it. I do think will continue on with the series, obviously. I need to see how the book ends, but I know it's book 1 out of 3, so I'm expecting a cliffhanger or a plot twist ending of some sort, as you do get in fantasy books. So I'm going to go and continue reading it. Okay, so we have finished book 1. I wrote it down. I did the math off camera. 4 hours, 33 minutes and 49 seconds, and that was 519 pages of Serpent and Dove. I did enjoy it. The second half of the book, 50%, we definitely started to get more development between our main male and female character, and they actually started having, you know, multiple conversations with one another. The only thing I would say about the book is I wish we got more of that earlier on. Like I wanted to be more invested in the progression of their situation, and I wanted to believe in it more, but because, you know, we just got little bits sprinkle here and there until the second half of the book, I wasn't like fully invested. I do really like the two characters, but I definitely loved Lou more in the first 50%. The second 50% sort of was like, I don't know, I sort of felt like we got less of that fiery personality, but I still really enjoyed it. So I think it's gonna be a 4-star for me. It did leave on like a what's gonna happen next type of cliffhanger ending to obviously set up for book 2, and I do want to read book 2. I'm not rushing to go and pick it up. It's going to be added to my list of book series that I'm in the middle of, and maybe we'll continue it in my next vlog of that series, because if you don't know, most of my mood reading and vlogs is just continuing series that I'm in the middle of. Yeah, this was good. Though I will say, I am surprised it is YA. Like, I know it's YA, but I'm surprised. The characters themselves are around 18. One of the side characters is 16, but some of the stuff that happens in this and like the tone and the vibe was a little bit mature and graphic for a YA book. There was a spicy scene in this, though very tame, and the wording was not anywhere near as graphic as what you would get in an adult book, but there was still a scene that happened. Okay, book 1 done. Let's start book 2. I think I'm just gonna pick up Daydream, which is also second in my book pile. I just need something lighter. I need something a bit bingeable, a bit less brain power required, just a light romance. My first hockey romance. Am I going to regret jumping into this without having read Icebreaker in the other book first? Maybe, but I don't care. I'm excited. Let's go. pages in, why am I both characters? Like, if you take Hallie and Henry and put them together, that's me. I feel so seen reading this. Also loving it. It's exactly what I needed. I needed just like a mindless romance, and I'm like, yes. I got 50% of the way through this book and I cried. It's so ridiculous. It's honestly so ridiculous, but I just relate to so much of both of our main characters that it just hits. It just hits. I can see why this would maybe be like a little bit more slower, you know, there's not as much conflict. Not everyone's type of thing, but personally, like, this just hits so hard for me just because I relate to it so much. So this is so unexpected. I honestly thought it'd be like a 3-star read for me, and it's giving 5-star feeling. Like, this is shocking. The first 2 chapters, I knew I was gone. I knew it had me. Read chapter 1 and was like, I'm Hallie. And then I read chapter 2 and was like, I'm Henry. And the whole time through this, I'm like, I understand so much of both of them. What happens when you take eldest daughter who can't say no with ADHD, neurodivergent? You get a girl who feels seen. I actually can't believe it. I cannot believe it. I also thought it would be like a lot spicier based off what people were saying about Icebreaker, about how Icebreaker is just like smart. This isn't. There's been very minimal scenes. Like, yeah, it's more on the graphic side, but again, like, I think Not in Love by Ali Hazelwood had a lot more. And even that I didn't find like too spicy. I just feel like once you read Zodiac Academy, nothing phases you. Literally, Zodiac Academy is like the one book series that just, it went off the rails, because like book 1 didn't really have much. We're talking about Zodiac Academy right now. There's like 12 books, including novellas and stuff, and each book ramps it up, and the stuff that's in like the last few books compared to the first, it's insane. But then when you also read the prequel and the spin-off, they just get more and more unhinged. So now I feel like nothing can faze me in that department. But it's also taken me longer to read this because I keep rereading scenes, and then I don't, when I'm doing like a first read of a book, unless I feel like I have to, I don't tab or annotate, but I will take photos of quotes and pages and things that I can't stop thinking about or like in the moment hit, and I will save them in my camera roll. So my camera roll is just full of like book quotes. When I do a reread, that's usually when I'll like tab and highlight and annotate, but I just can't stop rereading things. It's so good. Honestly, so skeptical when it comes to any popular, spicier, contemporary book talk romance, because the Twisted series, not for me. This is good. I think I'm just gonna sit and finish it now, read it in my reading room here, and then we'll talk about how we're going. Coming up to 4 hours, and I've got less than 50 pages. My Goodreads updates the whole time while I'm reading this, like giggling, could not stop smiling, laughing, crying. I love reading books like this that just make me love reading. I love it, but also cannot stop thinking internally. Books that make you feel seen are next level, but also need to be in like an emotional capacity to process that. This has just shocked me. This is so good. I honestly think this is one of the best starts to a 24-hour readathon that I've had ever. Stars. Really surprising myself here. I'm actually like still in shock. I'm gonna be thinking about this book for the foreseeable. I want to do a reread already. Do I think everyone's gonna feel the same way about it? No. Like I said, I think it hits so hard for me just because I relate to it so much. But it is so good. It's also late now. I'm tired. So I think I'm gonna like pause and sleep, and then we'll pick up the rest of this 24 hours in the morning and like finish it. We've got like 14 hours left, so this book took 4 hours 25 minutes and 46 seconds. Not too bad. Felt so long though for like a romance. So much happened. Well, it's very dialogue heavy. I always find that books and like contemporary romance books and fiction that's a lot more dialogue heavy takes me longer to read than like a typical plot driven book. My reading speed does slow down when I read contemporary romance books. I think I'm gonna pick up the 3rd book in the Woven Kingdom series tomorrow morning because I feel like I'll just be able to like blast through that really easily, and I also can't stop thinking about that, and then I'll be up to date with that. Then we're gonna try and tackle 6 of Crows. Wow, it took me way too long there to process. I need sleep, so that's what we're gonna do. Hello, good morning. We are cracking straight on with the next book. I got up a little bit earlier today so that we have enough time to finish this. We're obviously, like I said last night, gonna pick up All This Twisted Glory. It's the third book in the This Woven Kingdom series. This Woven Kingdom series is a YA series. Again, if you haven't seen my vlog of me reading the first two books and you don't know what it's about, it's basically about our main female character is a long lost heir of a kingdom, and she's been hiding in plain sight as a servant, and the current crown prince of the kingdom that she lives in has noticed her and is watching her because he thinks there's something going on with her. And there's like a little bit of mystery. It's set in kingdom, there's like Persian mythology, but the tension and the angst in it is so good. Like the tension, I love a YA book with like full of banter and tension, and that has it. The second book follows on, but one of the side characters from book one becomes more of a main character in book two. Book one was such a good read. I honestly, I love it. I love this series so much. Book two happened in like a 24-hour time period, so it was a lot faster in terms of timeline, but less plot happened. So book three, I don't know what to expect. I think it could follow similar format to book two, where like not too much plot is happening and we're having a lot of dialogue between the characters trying to figure out what's going on, because book one was definitely the most action-packed book in this series. But it's going to be a 5-book series and there are only 3 books out, so I'm a little nervous about finishing this book and then not having anything else even like confirmed in this series yet, because I don't think we'll get like the next book until next year. I love it. We're gonna read it. I have heat pads on me today because my back and my neck are sore. 73 pages in, we've just had a plot twist. I love getting backstory and lore that just confirms that morally grey characters. So I've just started part 2 in this book. We've just had like a little bit of a spicy scene. It's the 3rd book in the series, and same as how we had a little bit of, you know, in Ignite Me. I always find it funny when like I read a YA book and there's like a little bit of spice in it, because obviously the dialogue and stuff they use is like completely different. But it always throws me off guard because I'm like, in my head YA has no spice. But then I read a YA with a little bit of spice, I'm like, I do love this though. I actually do love this so much. One of our main male characters is actually like really pissing me off so much, and I really don't like him. Like even from book 1 I was just like, you're so arrogant and so not self-aware, and I get that that's his character, but he's just, I just want to punch him. I just want to punch him in the face. I'm not going to say who it is because I don't want to spoil it if you haven't read it, but like book 1 I was like, okay, you know, I can look past it. Book 2 I was like, nah, not at all. Absolutely switch sides. Jump ship, get me the fuck out of here. Book 3, we're getting more answers that are just like confirming that like, yeah, she just writes these tortured, morally grey men so well. I'm saying men, they're literally 20-year-old boys, because 20 is still a child in my head. But I'm gonna binge the second half. Like I'm just gonna sit and binge it. It'll probably take me 2 hours and then we'll be finished this one and can pick up the next one. But this is good. This is like book 3 in a series that's YA, that's not too complicated for me to like understand and deal with, because I already know the world and the magic and all that. Like it's a comfortable read. It's almost giving like a little bit of like a palate cleanser of like, I just get to be back in this world with these characters, but a little bit more exciting with that fantasy element than just like a contemporary romance. So very much enjoying this. But now I'm kind of like, am I ready to pick up Born of Blood and Ash? Maybe I'll read this. Maybe it's huge. I don't know. We'll see. Okay, let's finish part 2 of this book. I finished. This one took 3 hours, 32 minutes and 55 seconds. So faster than I thought, honestly, to be fair. I need book 4. That is all I can say. Like, I need book 4. Tension and the angst. Oh my goodness, the yearning. The yearning. It is all that I want. It is everything. But I want more. I need more. I just want the next book. All right, let's do it. All I know is that it's a heist. That's literally it. I know nothing else about this book. I know it's a group of characters. Assume that we have like different chapters for different characters, maybe multi-point of view, but other than that, going in blind here. I really just have been like smashing out books in this 24-hour readathon. We really just are locked in for reading. Okay, that first chapter. So 3 chapters in, this is the kind of thing that I would watch as a TV show, but I'm very much enjoying this. This is also giving like the type of fantasy book where fantasy books that are actual fantasies with like not focusing on a romance, not a romantasy, but have like a minor subplot of a romance in it are usually like my favorites. And I feel like if there's gonna be a romance plot in this, I'm probably gonna eat this up. When I think of Heist, I think of Money Heist, and that was one of my favorite TV shows. I love anything to do with like darker crime, action. So it is like 2 hours since I last vlogged. I took a nap for an hour. I got to the point where I was just finishing up part 1 in this book. My eyes were reading, but my brain wasn't. Nothing was processing, nothing was going in. I was like, wow, I am tired. And then I was fighting my eyes. So I had to pause and take a little nap, which means like we're gonna be continuing this on into the early hours of the morning, but I feel like I've got a second wind now. Not going to have any more caffeine because I think I crashed from a caffeine crash. I had 2 coffees, I think that was my problem, but I'm about to start part 2. But I'm very interested in all these dynamics. Also like them being literally like 17 and notorious like crime prodigies. Insane. Honestly don't know what to expect. I like that it's broken up into parts though, because it feels like it's making it a bit more digestible. So we're gonna just continue reading as much as I possibly can.
You're a happy girl, aren't you? What do you want me to do about it?
She's speaking to you. I should have finished this book like an hour ago, but I haven't. It is just taking me so much longer. Like I said, my brain has been like reading words on the page. Well, my eyes have been reading words on the page. My brain's not taking it in. So the way that it time jumps, because we will get information of what's happening right now, currently in the present. There's not even like a paragraph break. It's just like a line break. And then it goes back into the past. And it's really confusing because there's these 2 characters who have history in the past and in the present. So I'm like, wait, hang on a second, is that in the past or in the... And then I have to go back and read it, but like it's my brain. It's my brain just getting tired. And I am really enjoying it, but I'm not like obsessed. Like again, I feel like I'm watching a TV show or like reading a movie. Also what I was saying about like fantasy books that aren't romance at all, but have like the most minor snippet of like romance, hit hard. Like 2 characters that cannot physically touch each other, and she's just touched his skin. She touched his cheek. I'm over here like, oh my god. One by one now, we're like getting to the point in the book where all the backstory and things we've learnt before about these characters are all like coming to the surface and happening. So the action and the pace is starting to kick off. Entering part 6. I'm ready to get it done, to be fair. I have been dragging my feet. I'm missing something, but we're gonna finish the book now. So this 500-page book took me 6 hours, 42 minutes and 33 seconds. So a lot longer than it should have. And I just kept dragging my feet. I kept zoning out. And I do think a big part of that is because my brain was just like, meh. But also, it was a good book and it was written well. But I was a little bit bored. Like, I wanted higher stakes or something like a bit more. Maybe like a 3.5 to 3.75. I just wanted a bit more. I wanted to like believe in the characters more. I wanted to get more invested in their stories. I really liked Kaz, and he was definitely like the main character, and we got more of his background, and like my heartstrings tugged at it. So like I really loved him, and I wanted more of that for the others. Like I feel like a lot of it was just like a plot twist at the end that I was sort of like, oh wow, okay. But earlier on I wanted like a bit more to be like, oof. Maybe I just like a bit more pain with my books, but it was good. I'm gonna pick up a Kindle book and read for the next 4 hours in bed now, I think. So we're gonna go and do that. Okay, hear me out. We finished the 24-hour readathon and I read an entire extra book than I thought I was gonna read. I thought I'd maybe get like halfway through Powerless because it's quite a big book. Like it's bigger than the others in the Chestnut Spring series. So I thought I would maybe, you know, maybe get halfway through in that. I finished it and then I still had time to read Reckless. I read them on Kindle because they are on Kindle Unlimited, but I actually loved this so much. I wish I wasn't reading it in bed, like half asleep, so I could have like talked more about it, but perfect palette cleanser books. I honestly think this is my favorite Elsie Silver book so far, which is surprising because I've been dragging my feet to go and pick this up. Like I was like, no, I'm not gonna pick this up, I'm not gonna read it, I'm not gonna enjoy it. Most people I know who had read it had rated it quite low, so I was like, oh, it looks like it's like the lowest rated out of them all. 4.75 stars. I'm obsessed with them. I love Jasper, I love Sloane. I'm still waiting for like a romance book that consumes my thoughts all the time, but this was so close. I was so obsessed with this, I still can't stop thinking about it. And then we started Reckless. On my Kindle, we got like under 200 pages in, almost 50% of the way through, which is also insane. But as soon as we had the little Winter and Theo, you know, meeting in this book, call off your dog Eaton, woof, I was gone. I was like, I'm picking this book up straight away. As soon as I finished this, I was gonna jump back into one of my other fantasy books that I had planned and lined up. Woof, picked up straight away and have been reading it. I'm so converted. I love Elsie Silver's books and her, oh, I don't know. She does like every single trope. And I'm like, I love it because everything's different. All the characters are so different to one another. Like, how do you think of these character types and make them so different from one another? You know what I mean? I actually think Jasper's close to like making top 10 book boyfriends for me. But yes, it is the next day now. So 24 hours is done. I've got a new reading vlog to start. So we've read 5.5 books because I'm like halfway through Reckless. And the page numbers, 2,482 pages. That's actually quite insane. And 5.5 books, that's pretty good. That is actually very good. Definitely contributing to getting back on track with my Goodreads reading goal. I'm honestly feeling like I want to do another 24-hour readathon again very soon already. So if you want to see more of these and you're not already subscribed to me, make sure you subscribe because I love having you here. But if you have made it all the way to the end of this video, please let me know in the comments one book that you think I should read in my next 24-hour readathon. Very intrigued to know what you want to see me read. And that is all for this video. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.